Good 11:51 p.m. I know I was supposed to do a Lynparza part 2. I think one person wanted to see it, but we are moving on to Lenvima. So let me just figure out how to screen share. Oh, I think I did it. Oh, there we go. Okay. What we're going to do. I think I will talk less during this one, and I will just be a little bit quieter and do this model. All right, so let's look at, oh, you know what? I'll just use Lynparza as the template or whatever. How was my day today? How was your day, Jennifer? Let's see, what did I do today? What did I do? Oh, what's this? These are notes for pipeline drugs, I think. Oh, whatever, that's not super important. Here, we'll just take everything from here. You know, some days when you're a little bit stressed or, you know, like you just want to unwind, if you're a bit used to modeling, it's a good way to like keep yourself busy. You know, it's like running almost. Like you can think about a lot of stuff while you're modeling, and like it's not super intensive most of the time. Well, you know, it's nice. It's like a run. Okay, so brand name, Lenvima. Fuck, what did I just do? Is it M? Oh my God. Oh, that's not right. I don't think this is it. Okay. Whatever, I'll figure it out later. So Lenvima, generic name. This is another drug that that Merck has royalties for. All right, lenvatinib. Okay, we could have guessed that. Lenvatinib. Indication. Are there generics out already? Probably not, but maybe. Okay, I don't think so, but maybe there are. Size lenvatinib in 2015. You know what? The moment we look at these approval dates, we'll know anyways. So let's do that instead. 2015. Yeah, there's no generic out. We're fine. So, all right. Differentiated thyroid cancer, February 2015. You know, sometimes I have to think about how much I share on YouTube. Like, what if like one day someone takes a clip from this video and goes like, this is the reason she did this and she did that. I'm actually a little bit like paranoid about that. I really wish I could just say whatever on YouTube though. Anyways, This is an educational video. Lenvima today granted approval to whatever progressive differentiated thyroid cancer. Progressive DTC for radioactive iodine refractory. Modeling is actually very, very calming. Like, let me tell you that. All right, what's the next indication? Advanced RCC. Okay, it's May, it's 2Q16. Q16 with, what is it with? Everolimus. Yeah, it's with everolimus, so plus everolimus. RCC. Whatever, that's good. Then you have 3Q18. What should I talk about while I model? Do you just want me to talk about modeling, or I don't know? I was reading a book recently. It's called When Genius Fails, or When Genius Failed. It's a book about this investment fund called Long-Term Capital Management. Okay, it's for first line unresectable HCC. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Oopsies. The book was okay. The thing about books like that is there's a lot of like market theory involved. Like it makes up maybe like 3/4 of the book. And when I read a book, I don't want to think too hard. So it was okay. And then before that, I read another like investment book. It was called Black Edge by Shula Kohakar, I think. That one was pretty good. It was all about Steve Cohen's hedge fund. One thing I remember from that book is that Steve Cohen had this huge shark that was like suspended in some kind of like gel in his hedge fund's office. I thought that was kind of cool. I think that was like a craze back in the 80s or, you know, whenever. I forgot the artist's name who makes those sharks though. Okay, Keytruda plus Lenvima. Okay, so for our purposes, that's yeah. capitalize the E. Yeah, let's do it. Otherwise, it looks like rendometrial carcinoma. All right, economics. Obviously, ASI has a large share of this. Pretty sure it's their drug, but Merck has royalties. So Merck, oopsies. Merck royalties. ASI. I guess we should also include the word Lenvima. Well, you know what? Sometimes Merck's like 10Qs or 10Ks already have that, so maybe I'll just look at that later. Lenvima mechanism of action. I actually like to go on wiki for this. Okay. It's actually really important to understand the mechanism of action, but like I don't know, sometimes I like to go in depth and like really understand it off camera just because it actually takes a while to see like how exactly it binds. Jesus, it inhibits a lot of fucking things. What the fuck? Okay, FGFR. Okay. So it binds to some kind of domain that's common to all of these kinases. Oh, okay. All right, well, let's just type all of these things later and then get to them later. FGFR, Jesus, FGFR 1, 2, 3, 4. PDGFR, alpha. This is grape. I really want orange juice right now. I just came from a run, actually. It was an okay run. You know, maybe I'll go on a run again after this. I don't know. I don't want to sleep too late though. It's like around 12:40 right now. RET, protoncoline, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I like to save MOA for last. It's like a nice surprise, you know what I mean? After you get to understand, you're like, oh, does this drug make money? Does it not? I wonder what it does. And you're like, oh, that's why it makes $1 billion or like only $2 million. Okay, let's go to pharmacokinetics. Administered single, whatever. I really want to like drink something acidic, like lemonade or like orange juice. That always happens after I run. I wonder why. Wait, a lot of it binds to plasma protein. I feel like sometimes I, as a person, should take things more seriously. I don't, though. That's gotten me in trouble quite a couple times now. I actually got in trouble today. That's why I'm in like a. That's why I came to my modeling desk, all like, I'm going to do this YouTube video and I'm going to blow off some steam modeling. Oh, whatever. I guess I should take things more seriously. All right, the blood to plasma concentration ratio ranged from 0.59 to 0.61. Already did that, whatever. I guess I could also remember. I was writing my friend today. And then I made a joke about, I don't know, I said, so let me know if you want me to like drone strike like this government organization. Like as a joke, why would I drone strike anything? If I had a drone, I'd drone strike myself, you know? And then, I don't know, he wrote back like, you know, these like communications, they can get monitored. So like sometimes they'll take you seriously. So like, don't joke around about these things. And you know, I get it. Sometimes I like joke around too easily. I feel like I should work at that, but at the same time, I think that's just who I am. Half-life, about a day. Okay. I think the rule is to reach peak max concentration. Or what was it? To reach equilibrium, where the amount of drug in the circulation that's being added or just there doesn't change. Like the amount of drug going out and the amount of drug that is like getting into the circulation is the same. Equilibrium is about like 6 times half-life. Like that. So if the half-life is 28 hours, okay, whatever, I'm dead. This is the I'm gonna put down right now. IP, you always look at the 10Q4. They always have like a projected IP. They might not right now because their drug is really new, but usually an IP for something like Lenvima would be like 14 years. Best case scenario, 14 years. Worst case scenario, like 10 or 12. Because it's like, I know patents are 20 years, but they never get 20 years. Because once you get the patent done, then you still have to discover, you have to do preclinical, you have to submit tests. So you don't get 20 years. Ends up being around 14 that you have left. Okay. Nope. Let me try one more time. If not, then ASP is not available in this file. So I'm just going to put n/a for ASP for now. Maybe I'll find out later, but maybe I won't. It's sometimes it's just not available. It's not public information. All right, Lenvima. Oh, look, Merck Connect. I wonder when this is from. What is Merck Connect saying? 19,021 per 30-day carton. Okay. Would I multiply that by 12? Let's see. And be my yearly. My neighbor is, I don't know. Maybe he hates his floor. Okay, whatever. I get that the patient pays like most 40,000, but what is the actual here? Well, you know what? Let's go through the Lenvima schedule first. So let's see what administration is like. Should I do hepatocellular carcinoma? Or DTC? Let's just do DTC. Okay, and then the regimen is also DTC. You know, for anyone who lives in Miami or has been to Miami, one thing I really miss is Wynwood. I don't go to downtown Miami enough. I'm like maybe a 30-minute drive from downtown Miami. I love Wynwood and I love Brickell too. It's not as fun anymore because of COVID. Like usually on Saturday nights, and today's a Saturday, you can hear the music in Wynwood from like 10 blocks away. Like the boosted bass is like sometimes I can't even sleep at night. Like sometimes I like to go to like a Wynwood hotel and just stay there for a little bit and like go down to Wynwood and enjoy the atmosphere. But you know, because of COVID, you can't do any of these things. I guess people might still party around there, but heck if I know. 4 milligrams bid. I think bid means taken once daily. I have to check though. I mean twice. Oh no, that's not what I meant. Bid meaning medicine. Shit, means twice a day. Is it quid? What? Quid is 4 times a day. We're playing a guessing game now. QD. Once a day, okay. Well, that's cool. Learn something new all the time. QD. Okay. 24 milligrams. just going to do this for now. 1 times. How long would an average DTC patient take? Or how long would they need this for? Maybe 8 months. Let's do 8. 152,168. Does that sound reasonable to everyone? I think so. We can double check and see if we can find a wholesale acquisition costs on internet later, but I'm just going to go with 152,168 now. Manufacturing. Let's go to my favorite European label. You know, if you have any thoughts about this video, definitely feel free to comment below. It's always fun to read comments, even if I have like 2. Oh, why did I search up Lenvima? Oh, it's a small molecule. Yeah, that makes sense. It is an inhibitor. Okay, wait. Let's do a guessing game. How many Daltons is this? You make a guess, I make a guess. Make your guess. Now remember, small molecules have to be less than 900 Daltons or molecular weight. So if your guess is over 900, you already lost. But I'm going to guess. Maybe like 300, 350. Oh, 426. Well, maybe you were closer, maybe I was closer. 300, 350. Cool. Okay, anyways, back to manufacturing. Blah, blah, blah. Film coated tablets. Nobody cares. Oh, okay. Whatever. Mixing, milling, granulating, drying. That's how all tablets are made. I was trying to look for something more interesting, but well, maybe if we're more curious about manufacturing, we can come back later, but I'm not that curious right now. And I like to call this sheet main. And then we're going to make one called model. Okay. Going back to Lynparza. I did something a little bit different in Lynparza, I think. Oh, maybe I didn't. Oh, fuck. Our school has also told me that I have the choice, if I want, to go back to campus in the spring, which is like around February. I think I will go. I think I have to go. Okay. So there's that. I'm trying to learn how to drive so that, I don't know, I can get a car and then I can show up to school in the new whip. But also because I want to have a car in Boston. I think it'll be easier to travel around and do whatever in Boston if I have a car. Otherwise, it might be hard. Oh, what is happening? No wonder. I took it from sheet 3. So, taking this. Basically what this is just the quarters. And then once you get past 2021, you just go to the years. So fiscal year 16 all the way to whenever the terminal date is, which is basically patent expiry, something like that. Maybe 2 or 1 year after patent expiry. Okay, now we're going to get to the kind of boring part, but not super boring. Part where we just fill in revenue. Let's see when maybe it was a co-development with ASI. They will, okay, when was this? Like 2018, 2019? 2018, okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, it's still important to look at how much money this drug made before Merck bought it. So ASI. I wanted to call my friend today, but I think my friend is busy. I actually really like to call people. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Okay, investors, ASI, glance, investor. No, they're not what I want. ASI is a public company, right? Yes, it is. Of course, it has investors. Management, stock and bond, global tax, IR library. Good Lord. Stock and bond. Info me. Sure. Good Lord. Hello. It's really not what I want. Do they only do fiscal years? Do they not have quarters? That would be weird, wouldn't it? I don't know what the Japan rules are, but I feel like they should have quarters. Guess it's not a big deal, but oh, they do have quarters. Okay. Do they only have presentations? What's this? Oh, okay, okay. My bad. I take it back. It's a little hard to find, but Eastside does have everything. Okay, let's go to Q1 2016. Yeah, this one. Kind of cool that this is in yen. Okay, so I've learned that there's no chart for Lenvima. Maybe because it's too small of a drug though, for it to have its own chart. 1230, it's not too bad. Let's see if what comes out here in the chart. If not, I'll just okay, well, I know the Q1 is 4.4 billion yen. Oh, and Novartis might be part of this, so let's take a note. And obviously Merck too. So, you know, Q1, they did 4.4 billion yen. Is yen this? Oh, that's not yen. Whatever. Okay, 4.4 billion yen. And then let's make a quick note here. Oops. Here. I mean, no big deal if they don't separate their revenue into. Yeah, I guess they wouldn't separate their revenue into US and rest of the world, would they? This is like a very like Eurocentric or like a US centric model, because why would ASI like care about US revenue? Okay, so well, no worries. Not a big deal. All right, let me just double check this to see if I can get any more info. Okay, so that's the inflation impacted revenue. Okay. Second quarter. I don't know. I think I might get lemonade or something from Uber Eats. And then I'm just gonna sit down with this model and meditate with it a little bit. But before I go, I know I owe you guys a Lynparza explanation. So, all right, you know what? Let me go through Lynparza kind of quickly so that at least you know what I did when I was looking at this model off camera. So we'll go through it quickly. Brand name Lynparza, generic, all operate indication. We did this together. Economics, turns out it was 50% AstraZeneca, 50% Merck. Mechanism of action, it's a PARP inhibitor, a poly-ADP ribose polymerase and family inhibitor. And what it does is it's mostly approved for BRCA or homologous recombination repair defective cancers, which you can just test for with a test. Because these cancers rely on this PARP polymerase protein for single-stranded repair, which is when you are synthesizing a DNA for mitosis, I think. And then, or I don't know, maybe it's just replicating the DNA. And then like one strand of the DNA breaks. And then PARP recruits proteins and facilitates DNA single-stranded break repair. So this protein PARP tries to repair the DNA that broke by, I don't know, freaking gluing it together. And then PARP inhibition. So this inhibitor, Lynparza, it's a small molecule. It penetrates the cell, finds or gets attracted to this PARP, right? Because it has the right paratope, or yeah, the right paratope. And it becomes attracted to this PARP protein. And it binds to this PARP protein, which stalls the replication of the DNA. And accumulates single-stranded breaks, which leads to cytotoxic, or what kills the cell, which is bad for the cell, double-strand breaks, because this Lynparza drug doesn't allow PARP to do its thing. So once you have all these single-stranded breaks, you can't fix it, because this BRCA cancer relies mostly on this PARP protein, whereas like maybe other cancers rely on a different protein for single-stranded breaks and whatever. And that's actually how resistance to Lynparza begins usually, is when the cell stops relying on PARP and starts relying on a different homologous repair protein, which is pretty cool. You know, maybe there's some value in making a Lynparza analog that somehow avoids resistance, but I mean, hey, it's an idea for someone out there. It's not for me. I'm not that interested in it. And then PKPD, I think we did this together. Whatever. IP, I found that in the 10K, expires, the information patent expires in the US in 2028 and 2029 in Europe. ESP, couldn't find it. WAC is 138,000 per patient per year. Regimen is you take it 150 milligrams twice a day. Manufacturing, we did that together. I looked at the market competition. So Zehula and Rubraca, these are both PARP inhibitors. Actually, Zehula, Rubraca, and Lynparza are the three main large PARP inhibitors. Like they just compete with each other. There's no other like large market competition. And who makes Zehula? I'm actually not sure. It's not in my notes who makes it. Or is it? Whatever. Anyways, I know it's a big pharma company. Clinical trials. So I know there is statistically significant improvement in progression-free survival, which is basically almost always the primary endpoint for clinical trials. And then this is just a couple of trials that I put in there. Their pipeline competition, you can go into clinicaltrials.gov to find the pipeline competition, or you can just look around on Google, but this is what came up. This one's from AbbVie. This one's from BeiGene. This one's from Jiangsu Hongwei, which is like a Chinese pharma company that has some presence in the US. Same thing for BeiGene. And this is from Alover, I think. Then for events, you just put down the events, 2029, loss of exclusivity, 2027 is a potential metastatic colorectal cancer approval. I like to put down the potential approvals down in events too. And then you would put down launches for pipeline competition. So you search up when like something like 2x121 launches and you put it down in events. And then for notes, you take down notes for what each pipeline and market competition drug does. So you take 2x21, 121, and it's a PARP1/2 and telomerase 1/2 inhibitor. So it's a dual inhibitor. That doesn't mean it's better though. So you have to look sometimes, but I don't think it's like big competition. It's from a smaller pharma company. They don't have the money to develop it into something huge to compete with like Lynparza. Fluzoparib, you know, they're in P3, and you give it an estimate of when it launches. Filing date. These are the P3s that Lynparza is in. So the phase 3 trials that Lynparza is currently in. One is maintenance, squamous, metastatic, non-small cell lung cancer. And if you go on clinicaltrials.gov, it tells you when it completes, which is 2Q24. For phase 3 trials, I add about, so about 1 year after the trial completes, it'll probably get approved. So that there's that. And always double check the data on this. So go online and look at their data if they have any. I think I saw it and it was fine, so I just said approved. And then you put these events down to the corresponding year. So 1Q24 to 2024, right? And so you put these numbers down, right? These we got from the 10Q. These you got from the 10K. And blah, 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 all of this. For COGS, so COGS is cost of goods sold. For small molecules, I like to put 9%. When you do something like a biologic, go for 11%. And the COGS is 9% of total revenue. You have SG&A, sales general, and administrative. And that's about, I like to just do 10%. It's pretty accurate. You don't have to stress too much about it. Revenue, R&D, research and development. So, I mean, when they're not close to their patent expiry, do about 10%. And then where they're close to their patent expiry, so they expired in US in 2028 for R&D, I did 1% here. Yeah, because by the time they're done with their last approval, like somewhere around there, the R&D drops. So 10, 5, 5, 2, 1, right? That makes sense. Why would you pour research into something that you're not going to have? And then earnings before interest and taxes, right? So you subtract these from your revenue taxes. You have to look at their historic tax rates from their 10Ks. And they actually pay quite a bit of taxes for a pharma company. Like usually it's more in the 20, 23%. They pay 30%, which is corporate tax rate is 35%. But like if you're paying that, then you're not a good company. And then, you know, net income, EBIT minus taxes. And milestone payments, which is, why did I put this here again? Oh, okay, because they actually have a series of milestone payments that they pay to AstraZeneca, and you just spread those out. So it was supposed to add up to about 2.4 billion. I spread it out across the 7 years that they have in the market, and I ended up with terminal growth. So So when it loses exclusivity in the US, it drops by about 45%. And then once it loses exclusivity in the EU, it drops about 45% rest of the world. So, and then afterwards, just make it drop by like 30. Usually that's fine. That's pretty average. And this is a bigger drug, so it's fine. If you have something underneath 1 billion, like revenue, like if it makes maybe 500 million and it loses exclusivity, you don't see any proof that there are generics being developed, give it maybe like 3 years, give it maybe 3 years, and then drop the revenue by negative 45%. Because generic companies don't like to go for drugs that make less than $1 billion a year. It's just like, why would you do that when you can go for one that makes $1 billion a year? And then the discount rate, 5%. If you look at the borrowing rate that these pharmaceutical companies borrow from banks at, it's about like 3%, maybe 4%. That's the borrowing rate that these pharmaceutical companies borrow from banks at. So that's a very good indicator of their discount rate. And it's also how you calculate the discount rate. Of course, there's a lot of like philosophical ideas about what should the discount rate be for something, I don't know, some company with a bad executive or whatever, but 5% is good, especially for a big pharma company. Net present value 2551. So what you do for net present value is U16. That should be first quarter of 2021, I believe. Let's see. Oh, fourth quarter of 2020. Yeah. So I did this model when the third quarter results came in. So I added fourth quarter of 2020, no discount. I'm not discounting the net present value here. And then I did the NPV formula that you type in for 2021, right? So you discount it by 5% back. And the idea of a discount rate is that if the discount rate is 5% and okay, so the discount rate is 5%. And the discount rate is a rate that you put on a company where you say it's based on the risk that a company runs. So when you put a discount rate of 5%, you're saying that basically if I invest in this should be a whole other lesson, but you're basically saying if I invest in Merck right now and their drug Lynparza, like if I just bought their drug Lynparza straight up, the risk of the future cash flows of Lynparza, the risk that I get these net incomes year after year without Lynparza, you know, like dying or something, warrants that my money should oh, there should be a whole different lesson. Okay, how do I explain this? Ah, okay. I got it. So these series of cash flows, say you have, oh wow, my series just turned on. Say you get 455 in 2021, but $455 in 2021 is not worth the same as $455 in 2020 right now, right? Like obviously, I would rather get $500 right now than get $500 in 2030, because why the fuck would I want to do that? And the discount rate basically is the risk that you put on the $250 in 2030, where you say, what is the risk that I get this money? And at that risk, it's like the probability that you don't get this money is how badly you want to have this money in the present time. Oh, fuck, this is such a bad explanation. Okay, and you know what? There are a lot of really good videos on net present value. I do want to explain this though. Basically, what is the value of, like, if I gave you two pieces of paper, one paper says you can have $400 right now, or you can have $455 in 1 year. Which paper would you rather have? Now, the net present value basically tells you the value of the paper in the $455 paper in the future, because obviously it's not worth $400, right? $455 right now. There's a time difference. And what the net present value does is it puts a risk premium on it. So if the sketchy guy from the corner gives you this paper, he writes you this contract, you say, okay, I don't believe the sketchy guy in the corner, so I'm going to give it a high discount rate of, say, 35%. And what this 35% discount rate is, let me get my trusty calculator. Oops, 450 divided by 1.35. It says that this piece of paper is basically worth $333 right now. So what you do is you just say, you divide it by 1.35, which is, you know, present value times 1.35, which is 35%. And that's the present value of getting one voucher that says you can have $450 in 2021 from the sketchy guy in the corner. But the present value of, you know, this voucher from, say, Lynparza, it is, you know, we did a discount rate of 5%. And at a discount rate of 5%, this voucher is worth $428, which is in the present, which is a lot more than the sketchy guy from the corner, right? So you're saying that these cash flows from Lynparza have an inherent risk. And we can talk on and on about how to find this risk by looking at the discount rate that Lynparza borrows from banks, or if you can put your money in a different place and get the same amount in a stock for the same risk. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's about risk. But basically, a simple explanation is high risk, high discount rate, low risk, low discount rate. So a high risk of cash flows costs less in the present than a low risk cash flow. You know, hence the analogy of sketchy guy from the corner versus Merck or AstraZeneca. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. I hope you guys understood that explanation. Is there anything else I want to add to that? I guess one other way you can think about it is, would I rather have like $400 in the present right now to invest in a stock with the same risk as Merck's Lynparza cash flow? Or would I invest in Lynparza? That's one way you can think about it. So, you know, that's discount rate. And you assume that the stock makes 5% every year. Okay, and then we get to NPV, which is net present value, and you discount the net income cash flows, and I also discounted the milestone payment cash flows, and together you get 2.5 billion, which is, in my humble model, the price that Lynparza is worth right now if I were to buy the drug. So if Merck were to say, hey, Jennifer, would you like to buy our drug for $1.5 billion? I'd say, why, yes, of course, because in my model, Lynparza's net present value, the slip of paper that says I get these Lynparza cash flows year after year until it dies, is worth $2.5 billion in my mind. So yeah, of course, I would do that deal with Merck. But basically, and then when you look at something like a stock, Merck stock, you add up the price of Lynparza and some of their other larger drugs, and you just divide by the number of shareholders or the number of outstanding shares. And some people like to add back Merck's debt. I don't really like to do that, and they like to subtract Merck's cash, like the cash and debt on hand. But I don't really like to do that. I just like to divide by shareholders. But anyways, I hope this had some educational value. If you don't understand net present value, just there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on it. I hope I did a somewhat good introduction / explanation to it. And let's see. Well, I don't know how to turn this video off right now, but thank you all for coming, and I'll see you next time.